So when you're dating an avoidant and they leave and then they later realize that they've made a mistake, what happens? How do they show up? Do they reach out? Is this something that even happens frequently in ex relationships where they realize, wait, I did make a mistake? We are going to cover all of that here today. We're first going to talk a little bit about the types of outcomes you're likely to see. Then we're going to dive into a client story that I really think just encompasses the types of things dismissive avoidants feel, say, do every time, or the vast majority of the time after a relationship ends, because I would hear these things on repeat. And then most importantly, at the end, we're going to talk about what you can do to make sure you are taking yourself into proper consideration and knowing how to address this in a healthy way going forward. So here's the first thing. Dismissive avoidants tend to actually be quite self-reflective, but not in the heat of the moment. Dismissive avoidants, as you know, tend to take much longer to process their feelings and emotions. And this is because their natural state through years of conditioning is to suppress or repress their feelings. So this makes it much more difficult to really feel into how they actually feel about a situation or what they need. So quite often dismissive avoidants will make mistakes in relationships, not put in the effort, not show up, sometimes take somebody for granted. And often when somebody is making bids or requests for this individual to put that effort in, a dismissive avoidant will receive that bid unless it's phrased very carefully as criticism. And this can cause somebody to feel shut down, like there's no effort. And then dismissive avoidants often get in this tangled web with somebody with another attachment style. And specifically, that tangled web tends to consist of feeling like they need to keep pulling away and self-protecting because they feel like somebody's just constantly nagging or criticizing them. But there's this old saying, behind every criticism is just a need. And so if somebody's trying desperately to express to their partner or person they're dating that they just need a little more effort, or they need to know this dismissive avoidant person cares, a lot of times the dismissive avoidant receives that the wrong way. And on that side note, just for a brief moment here, I do want to let you know, just for this month, we are offering a 7-day free trial to all the courses at the Personal Development School where you can actually dive into your needs and communicating. And in the meantime, if you take that 7-day free trial, you get to keep our attachment styles and sex course for life. It's all about each attachment style's patterns around sex, intimacy, closeness, the things that cause them to want to run away, the things that draw them closer. And I'm hopeful it will be a really supportive resource for you. It's an over $200 value and you get to keep it for life. Plus, check out all of other courses in the meantime. And it's just available for this month, and we won't be running this again in the future with this course. So then you have this cycle. And in this cycle, the dismissive avoidant pulls away, they feel criticized, the other person tends to criticize more or communicate more that they have a need, and it just becomes a slippery slope until the dismissive avoidant often pulls away altogether. But once dismissive avoidants have space from being caught in their own feelings of stress or overwhelm, their feelings or fears of being trapped or engulfed, and they have room to actually reflect because they're not in their own version of a triggered state. It is actually very common for a dismissive avoidant attachment style to say, wait, I feel like I made a mistake. So I want to tell you a story of a client because this client represents so many clients I had back when I was running my practice full time. And this is basically how it went. This dismissive avoidant came into my office and they said, hey, I really want to work on myself. After a hard relationship, I feel like I messed everything up and I wish I could win this person back, but I know it's too late for that. All I want to be able to do is not make those same mistakes going forward. So I got to know this person's story and I learned that they felt like they hit it off with somebody at the beginning of a relationship dynamic. They were dating this person for about 6 or 7 months. Things moved at a pretty quick pace, but around the 4-month mark, they started taking their partner, who was definitely anxious, their requests as criticism. And they started feeling like they could never do anything right, in his own words. And this led to him just feeling like, okay, then why does this person want to be with me? Another thing he kept saying all the time. And then started saying things like, well, the person doesn't actually want to be with me because they keep trying to change me. So I might as well just shut down and pull away. We're clearly not a fit. It shouldn't have to be this hard. And so he had chalked up this whole scenario to basically a mismatch in compatibility. But I shared with him that day, as I share with you today, compatibility isn't differences. Having differences from somebody in a relationship does not mean that you're suddenly incompatible. Incompatibility is when you have differences and you're in learned helplessness. You don't know how to bridge the gap in the differences that you're having. So, for example, if one person is in a relationship and they have a need to have somebody be more present, and the other person perceives that need as, oh, you're trying to engulf or trap me, then they'll never work on their partner's need for them to be present, maybe when they go on date night or go to dinner. But if instead they understand that, oh, that's just a need at date night or at dinner, there's clear specific requests, that person communicates in a healthy way, well, now they're going to be able to hold space for that request and also honor their differences back. So they may say, yeah, I'll definitely work on being more present at date night or when we eat dinner in the evenings, and they'll put in that work. And then they might say, and I also need to do my own things Sunday afternoons sometimes. And 1 or 2 evenings during the week, are you okay with honoring that too? And now differences became us having the ability to respect the uniqueness in our personalities. And as a result of that, both individuals can thrive, keep the relationship to themselves, but also do the necessary work to make the relationship work as well long term. And I like to think of this as basically growing together rather than growing apart. But when we don't know how to communicate those differences, that's where people get very stuck. And so to go back to this story with my client, at the time, he said, this was the next thing he said to me. I said, well, clearly there was a mismatch in communication, not necessarily a mismatch in chemistry or connection. And he acknowledged that over time. And then where he left off is he said, well, it's over now. And what's done is done. I can't go back. And I asked him, if you knew that things could work out and communication would progress and you had all the right tools to really help you, would you try to go back? And he said, I am the type of person who, when something's over, I don't like to really turn back towards it at all because I don't want to feel my feelings around it. I don't want to feel the regret or the loss for too long. And I definitely don't want to be vulnerable and put myself back out there. Now, over time, we did that work together on his fears of vulnerability. And he showed up and actually was able to work on his own communication skills and understanding his own needs and communicating his own boundaries. And in time, even though it was quite a few months later, he actually ended up going and communicating with that person, and they got back together and had a thriving relationship. But that was somebody actually in coaching, counseling, doing the work, showing up. And that isn't necessarily going to be where a lot of dismissive avoidants stand, okay? Because dismissive avoidants, that feels very vulnerable for them for the most part. Some dismissive avoidants will show up. And I'd say it's about 30-40% of dismissive avoidants can really show up and do the work and put that effort in and work to change their behavior. Maybe it's just in the relationship. Maybe it's in counseling. Maybe it's through working on themselves through online programs. But you, if you are on the receiving end of this, have to bet that. You have to actually take a look and see, does this person do the work? Do they put their best foot forward? Because a lot of times what happens is a dismissive avoidant leaves a relationship. Then they end up reflecting on the relationship, missing the person and realizing, wait, I did make a mistake here. But then they don't feel comfortable being vulnerable enough to reach back out or reach back out in a serious way, which means you're basically going to arrive at one of two outcomes. Outcome number one, the person shows up, they communicate, they reach out, but they never actually build momentum and try to hang out or acknowledge things. And they're almost just reaching out from a place of comfort and curiosity. Or outcome number two is a dismissive avoidant doesn't reach out all because they don't want to do the work. They want to be like, hey, what's done is done, leave this in the past. It shouldn't have been that hard. Just those same types of terms, because I would hear so many dismissive avoidant clients say almost those same exact things over and over again. If you're somebody who's truly interested in helping others while also securing financial freedom for your future, there is a limited time option to join our 50% off certified relationship coach program. And this is a 12-week program where you can create financial freedom, work from anywhere in the world, and truly make an impact on other individuals' lives by becoming a certified relationship coach in just 12 weeks. Throughout this entire 12 weeks, you will learn all of the tools that you need to discover somebody's attachment style and help them heal and change their attachment style if they are insecurely attached so that they can become secure and build the best relationships of their life. On top of that, you'll learn all about the subconscious mind and how to actually rewire our painful limiting beliefs, our painful behavioral patterns, and help your clients learn their relationship needs, as well as the needs of their loved ones. You'll also learn how to build a thriving coaching practice and set yourself up for long-term success. You'll learn all of the business tips and tools you need to build funnels, leverage marketing strategies, and really thrive in the marketplace. Even if you have absolutely no coaching experience, this certification will give you everything you need starting from scratch to become a thriving relationship coach. You can find more using the link down below. So if somebody reaches out, which can happen, you have to make sure, are they there to build momentum, to invest, to acknowledge their part? Are they working on themselves in some sort of capacity? We talk about making sure that you're vetting this by looking at their actions, not their words. If somebody says, yeah, I'd like to work on myself. Yes, I'd like to work on our patterns in the relationship and be accountable for my part. Do you see the actions? Do the behaviors line up with that? Because if it's just saying it but not doing it, you're going to arrive back at those same outcomes. And I want to be really honest, like dismissive avoidant attachment styles, when they do the work, do amazing. But you're just going to get a smaller percentage compared to other attachment styles that are generally willing to do that work, because so much of their personality and conditioning and all of their coping mechanisms have basically been built in around not having to feel their feelings, not having to be vulnerable. That's what gave them relief growing up. So you just want to make sure, if you're on the receiving end, you are doing your due diligence to find out. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have more questions about this or want to see more content like this, please comment down below your questions and what you think is the best support for you and your situation. And if you enjoyed this video too, please like this video, please share it or subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our future content all about dismissive avoidance and dating, fearful avoidance, anxious attachment styles. And thank you for watching.